board certified reproductive endocrinology and infertility specialist. So hi everybody.
Hello.
So I scoured the internet for good articles and I found one that I was very excited about, and then I read it and it was useless, so I was no longer excited. So they had one article comparing doing pure natural cycle versus triggering ovulation at natural cycle and then doing your FET.
Okay.
So it's basically waiting for your LH surge or triggering when your follicle hits 17. So I was like, this is great. And there was no difference. So nobody cares about no difference. So anyways, I then had a chat with a lovely couple from the Toronto area, who of course shall remain nameless. But I do think it's very, very important to talk about their case. And so I have not shared the details of this entirely with Shireen, so she'll be able to kind of respond to what she thinks. So this lovely couple have had several years of infertility, and they had tried IVF a number of times and had significant attrition rates. So the rates that they shared with me were that they were getting high numbers of eggs, over 20 eggs each time, but they were getting only 2 to 5 embryos each time from the high number of eggs. And when they had spoken to their specialist, the specialist had said this was normal. So do you think that kind of attrition rate is normal?
No, that's really low.
It's really low, especially the, I mean, 5 maybe on a bad case, but 2 blastocysts from 22 eggs, like that's a lot.
Yeah, no, that's really low.
Yeah, so we went through that, and then they were asking why, and I said, well, tell me about your stim. 18 days of medication. 18, like we never go back. Yeah, too long, right? You're frying the eggs. And then we had a chat about sperm quality, and there were some sperm issues, and so I said, had they done anything about that? And they actually hadn't. They had, after 4 previous cycles, had just done a sperm DNA fragmentation only to find out that there was high sperm DNA fragmentation. So kind of concerning overall. So
and this is how many IVF cycles?
they were actually in the middle of their 5th one, and I told them to stop. I said, hit the brakes. Like, you don't even know what's going on. You don't know what's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's not good.
It doesn't make sense, right? Like I was saying, like if I had that kind of result once, you can maybe excuse it and say, okay, just try again, right? Bad luck, bad stem, bad whatever. We're gonna try it again. But if you got the same result twice in a row, like I think it makes you and me responsible to sit down, review the case, say, what was the sperm like? What were the eggs like?
What was the stem like?
What was the stem like? How do we make this better? Did the lab screw up? Did we screw up? Was it just bad gametes like sperm and eggs? Like, you know, you need to go over everything with a fine-tooth comb and figure out where the problem is, so that in a subsequent cycle, if they're even willing to trust you enough to do a subsequent cycle. And then they told me what they were paying, and this is a clinic that traditionally is like less expensive. It's like 50% more than we are. So I just like, this is horrible.
No, yeah, that's not right.
Yeah, so I told them to hit the brakes, figure out what's wrong. And I think that's a message we always try to send to everybody, which is, or share with everybody, which is, figure out what's wrong first. Like, it's not fair to just toss people into fertility treatment without actually knowing what's wrong. Once we know what's wrong, then we can help you out. But until we know what's wrong, it's pointless.
Absolutely. Go back to your physician, kind of take initiative and kind of go over the plan with them for sure, especially if you're reconsidering it.
Yeah, and I said, like, what were your egg quality like? She goes, I don't know. I said, how big were they when you triggered? 24, 25? I was like, those are all post-mature. You can't use those eggs anymore. So I said, you need to sit down and figure out what the quality of your eggs are like, so that you can then figure out, okay, do I trigger earlier? Do I use different meds? Do I use higher dose, lower dose?
Absolutely.
Did they do any priming for you? No. Oh, come on. Four separate cycles, nothing changed, just the same thing over and over again. So that, I found that really frustrating.
Frustrating, yeah. Imagine the patient.
Yeah. And I mean, you never want to throw your colleagues under the bus, and certainly I didn't, but at the same time, it's like, oh, you know, so you got to phrase everything carefully. the science shows that if your cycle goes longer than this, these are the outcomes. So I would try and do this. So it's really delicate to navigate that, but frustrating case for me because I really felt for them, wanted the best for them, but they were looking for a second opinion, and I said, boy, you need some answers before.
Younger patient?
No, not a younger patient, but really good ovaries. Yeah, really good ovaries. The other big news, which I actually just shared with Shereen before we started, the Ontario government has announced that there is going to be more funding for IVF.
Nice.
So right now, there's $70 million allocated to the infertility world, 20 million for IUI and 50 million for IVF. And apparently they are ramping that up to 150 million.
Very nice.
And I've heard a few details about where it's being spread, but it's going to give the clinics in Toronto that don't have funding a chance first, and then they're going to spread the rest of it throughout the province. So we are expecting, hopefully, for our wait times to drop.
Better care for patients.
Yeah, for sure. And hopefully also manage to eliminate the wait times if we're lucky, which would be great. Yeah, so we're excited about that. We don't have any details. They have not released the details, so please don't call the clinic asking if you can get your cycle done tomorrow because we don't have the money yet. I very highly suspect it will not be ready until April of 2025 when the new fiscal year starts. So you may have to wait, and for some of you that is too long, and we don't have any details. They're also talking about a $5,000 tax credit for IVF, which will help a little bit as well. Yeah, so that's all that's in the news because there were no exciting articles. I figured I'd share that instead. If you have questions about the government funding, please ask the government. When we know more, we will tell you more. We'll probably do a huge media splash. All of my colleagues were putting it out there in the Toronto area. Some of the people in the Toronto area worked very hard on this. Kim Garabedian, in particular at Pollen, she worked extra hard on this with her team. But the reality is that we don't know any of the details yet. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to help people. And actually, Tarek and I just made a video about the fertility rate globally.
Yeah.
So there's an article. Did you see the British article?
The UK article,
So the UK article says that England just posted their lowest fertility rate ever, 1.44, and that in cities like London, the total fertility rate is 0.55.
Yeah.
Right?
That's low.
Meaning basically 1 out of every 2 women is actually having a child. And in order to just simply maintain your population, that rate needs to be 2.1. So
That's very interesting.
Yeah, they're at a quarter of what they need to be. Scary.
And then what was the rate? They said by 2100 or?
So,
I can't remember now.
So we looked up extra stats. So by 2050, 3/4 of the world's countries will fall under the rate that they need to maintain with population decline. And by 2100, 97% of the world's countries will fall under the rate needed from a Lancet article. So listen, for those of you that are suffering with infertility, this is a very real thing. Now I actually didn't like that article because part of it just said it's because it actually directly blamed women. It said it's because women are waiting too long, and also because housing is too expensive and people are worried about the economy. But the reality is, guys are very much also to take responsibility. I don't like using the word blame, but drinking, smoking, drug use, bad habits, bad diets, obesity, lack of exercise, lack of sex. They're too busy smoking marijuana to have sex. It kills the sperm quality. So it's definitely not all on the shoulders of the women. The guys have a fair burden to bear for that as well. But yeah, I mean, it's concerning, right? And I didn't get a chance to look up Canadian statistics, but do you know what they are?
No, I did read something a couple of years ago. But no, I don't remember what the numbers were.
I don't know if we're at our population.
No, I think it is low, but I can't remember. But I don't think it was as the UK.
I know in America with the U.S. elections coming, they've been talking about it. And I know that they've been saying that they are under, one of the talking points has been that they are also under their population maintenance rate. So they actually are thinking about making IVF mandated in all the states so that they can just replace the population.
Wow.
It's wild, eh? Tariq's shaking his head off camera.
Crazy.
Dr. T, by the way, was in the OR today.
Yes.
Big round of applause.
Thank you.
He got the video some egg retrievals, which is interesting. So yeah, it was his first like hands-on, so to speak.
So to speak. So to speak.
Yeah, no hands were on.
No hands were on anything.
But he was present. So anyways, I guess we can go to questions.
First question. Hi, Dr. V. How do you decide when to use an immune protocol?
You know, we're going to have to come up with like a new moniker for the three of us. It should be like SVT or TSV
There you go.
or BST.
They'll come up with it.
Yeah.
They'll come up with it.
SVT is good because that's
For a
like,
car, isn't it?
No, it's a car. Well, it's a car too, but it's a cardiac anomaly that
Oh, I
my son
see.
had. Yeah,
Oh, I see.
supraventricular tachycardia.
Oh, there you go.
Which is kind of good.
Easy to remember.
Yeah. Okay, what was the question?
Immune protocols. How do you decide?
Oh,
That's becoming more and more popular.
it is, yeah. So I think Shireen and I both use Fertility,
Right.
and then based on the results of what Fertility tells us, each different finding requires different treatment. Sometimes they overlap, but for the most part, different categories of immune problems require different treatments. So that's how we guide our decision-making process.
Yeah. Just based on the recommendations.
Yeah, and granted, there are the odd cases that don't want to do testing. So I'll occasionally say, hey, you can try simple stuff, steroids, intralipids, without testing.
Without testing,
But the more aggressive stuff, lit, and I'm not doing that unless I have
exactly.
a test
Without
result.
outcome, yeah, absolutely.
Random question on TikTok, not in order in any way, but just related to the subject. My clinic doesn't believe in fertility.
Yeah, a lot of people, some people, I should say some clinics don't. I think I just don't think these studies are as popular yet, but it's definitely a growing field. A lot of patients, a lot of my referrals have come from patients who independently contacted Fertility, and they're like, what do we do with these results? Do you offer treatment?
Yeah, we get that all the time. Yeah, I do tons of second opinion consults for people all across the world where they're saying, I did fertility and my clinic won't help me. What do I do? And so we have to guide them through what to do with the results that they have. All I can tell you about fertility is our own result. And this was before my wonderful colleague Shireen joined us, but we had 49 cases that had done fertility and had a transfer in by May of 2024, when we did the Canadian Fertility Show. And we analyzed what happened to those patients who had failed before. All of them had failed before, which is why they did the fertility. In most cases, two failures, some cases one. And we did the fertility, we treated them for whatever we needed to treat with, and then we redid the transfer. And 45 out of the 49, which is 91%, got pregnant in the next cycle, which is higher than we get on anybody in any time we ever do embryo transfers, right? Like that's higher than even our really good, very high already success rate. So it was amazing to have spectacularly high success rates with those patients that had failures. And so I can tell you from our own experience, we know it works. For the clinics that don't believe in it, I guess I'd always ask the question of, why don't you believe in it? Do you not believe in it because you've tried it and it didn't work? Or do you not believe in it because you think there's research against it? Because there isn't. There's lots of research to support this stuff. Or are you happier when your patients have to do 3 cycles instead of 1, right? And that's the one that always worries me, right? Because we want to minimize the amount of times patients have to do this, and
absolutely.
Like we don't need to be making more for no reason. I'm happy to provide people with good quality service and help them get pregnant, but I want to make it efficient for them so that they don't have to do it, multiple times.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or 5 times like the one that I started the show with, which is insane. Yeah.
Hi, amazing doctors.
Oh, there you go.
Special shout out to Dr. T. How was the egg retrieval experience? Please, could you tell me how long one should be on Medrol for FET?
How long do you normally go?
Oh my goodness.
You do 5 days, yeah.
5 days?
I do 5 days as well for Medrol, unless they have an immune issue, and then I'll go like the full 12 weeks, like if they have high NK cells or something like that. But normally just the Medrol, we do 5 days. It came actually from unpublished data from Richard Scott, who had done it on a huge number of his own patients at RMA New Jersey, Reproductive Medical Associates in New Jersey. And they had studied internally their success rate with blastocysts and shown that they did better when they had steroids. He never published it, I'm not sure why, because the guy published like room temperature in the waiting room. But they never published it, but that was what the data showed. And so they always did that. And so I have a lot of respect for Richard Scott, so that's why we integrated it into our protocol. Yeah.
Should I answer the egg retrieval question?
You can answer the egg retrieval question. You can try.
Yeah, so it's a serious thing. Like I got a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of respect, but that's not a, that's real.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like that's real medicine. That's real science going on there. It's no,
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really amazing. Like you're going in there, you're looking, because you can't actually see inside naturally. So you're looking at the screen, and the whole world is that little screen, and you are trying to create some life out of looking at these screens and sucking these eggs out, and unbelievable.
It's
Unbelievable.
My third one, the ovary, I think had flipped up in front of the uterus. And so it was impossible to get to. So I was like, the probe was almost upright. It was like right behind her pubic bone. And he's like, you're having trouble with that. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, I got nervous.
I'm like threading the needle through to get it in. So it was tough. And that was the one we had to flush.
Yeah, that was the one we had to flush.
So that made it extra fun for me. But we still got 5.
I did great.
She had 5, we got 5.
That's
so
awesome.
yeah.
That's awesome.
It was pretty cool.
It was good. Even in the waiting room, there was one girl, she was like, oh, are you Dr. T? I'm like, yes, I am.
Awesome.
Yes, I am.
Yes, I am. So it was pretty good. I should come in the morning more often and just do my, what do they call it when the
rounds?
I should do my rounds. Let everybody feel, they're being taken care of here. Yeah. Hello. Is there evidence showing that any of these add-on helps with FET success? HCG wash, HCG booster, and lipids? Thanks.
Do you want to take that, or do you want me to take that?
So in terms of statistics, I know they do improve. I think you could talk about the statistics part, by how much.
Yep.
But there is improvement, and I think they're reasonably at cost. And I think for patients who have failed embryo transfers, I think it's a really good option. I don't think they're losing very much when looking at the cost and looking at the studies and the success rates.
Yeah.
Of these add-ons.
So HCG wash in a meta-analysis done by an Iranian group showed a 30% increase in live birth. So we don't do it automatically for everyone, but we do it for patients who have failed for sure. So I'm a believer in HCG wash, and it's simple and it's not expensive, and it's as Shanine said, so that's a really easy add-on. Intralipids also has data. It's not ironclad data, but it's decent data that it does improve things. Having said that, those are in untested populations of patients. We don't have really good studies looking at intralipids use for patients that have, for example, elevated natural killer cells, or at least I've never seen those. HCG booster, I've seen many studies on that. That has never been shown to be beneficial. So I'm not a believer in the booster, but the wash works and the intralipids work. And we've been using intralipids. I think my first case of intralipids was 2012. So I've been using it for 12 years. Yeah, it's been a long time. We've been doing intralipids forever. Yeah, long time.
Hello, doctors V and T. You're still here, don't worry.
And R.
Yeah. Dr. V, this is for you, I guess.
Okay.
Do you perform endosurgery on U.S. residents? If not, who is an amazing endosurgeon in the U.S.? Would you recommend? Hello, doctors and T. Dr. V. It's repeated, but yeah, that's the question.
Yeah. So we can perform not super complicated endosurgeries on US patients, but I have to do it in an outpatient private OR. I can't do it in a Canadian hospital. It's just Canadian hospitals aren't insured to manage US patients. So it's possible. The problem is it's really expensive. So the ORs charge us a fortune. It's like $3,000 to $4,000 per hour. So it's very expensive for me to do the surgery. Even if I don't charge you much, the hospital or the clinic part of it is very, very expensive for you. So we tend not to do it too much on US patients, although I have from time to time for the ones that don't care about the financials and just want me to do their surgery. For patients doing it in the US, there are lots of physicians out there that are great. Probably the world's best laparoscopic surgeon is a guy in California by the name of Cameron Nezhat, Nezhat. I've sent many patients to him. The guy is like the god of laparoscopic gynecology. There's a guy in New York called Vidali. So if you don't want to be on the West Coast, you want to be on the East Coast, there's Vidali. And then there are many, many other excellent surgeons that I don't have all the names for, but there are many, many people out there who can do it for you. So if you want me to do it, I'm happy to arrange, but it'll probably be costly. If you want to get someone to do it in the US, coast to coast, there are those two guys. I'm sure there are many others.
Hives in pregnancy, an immune response or a flare?
Shrines.
Yeah, I'm going to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to do it with all the hard questions. I'm going to do turf and shrine. I think that just depends on what's going on.
How many weeks is she? Yeah, so many things.
Yeah, I mean, you could have pups.
Yeah.
You could have an allergic reaction. You could have some kind of weird immune thing going on.
It's hard to say.
Yeah, it's too vague.
Thoughts on antihistamine protocols throughout the pregnancy?
That came up the other day.
Yeah, do you do antihistamine protocols?
I don't. No.
I looked it up. There isn't a single study on antihistamine protocols in pregnancy, or for fertility. Not one. Like there is nothing out there on an antihistamine protocol or the H1 blocker. We're actually just in the final stages of getting approval for our study of using a H2 blocker for doing embryo transfers. So we'll have that hopefully soon. But there's nothing out there, like zero. So I don't do it because I've never seen any study that says it helps. And I had a patient recently that showed me data on high IgE levels and negative outcomes. But I tried to look up more, and there's like nothing. It's very, very limited information. So I think there's some fields of this we just don't know about. Mm-hmm. That would be cool to research too. Like we could probably just measure people's IgA, IgE, and see what their outcomes are. Yeah.
Hi, doctors. What would you recommend for acne in pregnancy? Is salicylic acid recommended?
Sialic acid?
Maybe. I guess.
Salicylic acid? I don't think that matters. If there's no wash?
Yeah, anything topical is probably okay, except for tretinoin. You can't use tretinoin gel because that's the vitamin A based acid, and that's a teratogen. We usually just tell people soap and water and Proactive and benzoyl peroxide and stuff like that, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, natural stuff or stuff you can get in the pharmacy, but nothing like prescription. And the main antibiotic they use is tetracycline to treat acne, and you can't use tetracycline in pregnancy because it yellows the kid's teeth.
Hello. I have KSHCW. Tried? Tried? I don't know. I'm going to spell it out.
Okay.
Because I don't know. KSHCWTRIED.
I have no idea what that is.
I don't know.
KSH.
CW. Tried. At 11 and 14 and 9 weeks. KSHCW. That's the word.
Well, the SCH would be a subchorionic hemorrhage.
Okay.
Or maybe a chronic?
Maybe a chronic.
Maybe a chronic.
Subchorionic hemorrhage.
Let's go with that.
At 9, what and what?
At 11, 14, and 9 weeks
Okay.
on immune protocols.
Okay.
I have mild adeno, but RI says I don't need downreg, but surely I should. That's it.
I downregulate for my adeno patients. I don't know about what everybody else does, but I think it depends on the severity too.
Yeah, I think so.
Can high estrogen prior to an egg retrieval cause polyps?
I mean, that's.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, polyps can come from, estrogen, sure, but I don't know if it's right before retrieval. It's hard to say if it's, with high estrogen or without high estrogen.
I have a hard time believing 10 days of stim
No, no. I
is
don't
going to
believe.
make you have a polyp.
No, I don't believe from 10 days. No, but if it's just
No, but I think
time.
that they're asking from stim, right?
Yeah.
Right, T?
No.
You're not going to get a polyp from 10 to 12 days of stim. Not immediately. Maybe.
Like long term.
Yeah, maybe weeks, months later, you might develop something, but you're not going to have a short-term polyp grow in 2 or 3 days.
No.
At least not normally. Yeah.
Sex. So we have it
Strongly encourage it.
day before FET, day after, or day of, with or without a condom. These are the questions.
We're actually making a video on that.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
It's very
you're
interesting.
making a video.
So what are you recommending? So without a condom?
Definitely without a condom. So I looked this up
Day
recently.
before? Okay.
We're going to give up our video.
We're going to go with the whole video now. It's gone.
The whole video just
Gone.
annihilated.
No, we'll do it again.
Okay, so the data shows that leading up to an embryo transfer, having intercourse is beneficial. Unprotected because the ejaculate actually primes the endometrium.
Yeah.
There is one study, ironically, by Natalie Crawford. The famous,
Really?
Yeah.
She made a study?
She did a study when she was, I think, a fellow or a resident
okay.
or something like that, where they showed that having an orgasm around the time of your embryo transfer, I think it was after your embryo transfer, was detrimental.
Mm.
And this is what makes patients anxious.
Yes, but it was never published. It was only a poster presentation at a conference. She never published it, and it looked like, it wasn't fulfilling. Like, I didn't have enough information to analyze that and critique it and say whether this made sense or not. So there is no evidence, and I did a deep dive into this. There's no evidence showing that sexual activity, including orgasm, after an embryo transfer is actually detrimental. And if anything, most of the studies show that a normal amount of sexual activity before and probably after is actually beneficial for the whole process. Now, I always tell people, please don't swing from the chandelier. So, be gentle. You don't want to overly rock the boat. But as long as you're being reasonable, I don't see how it's going to be a negative.
I completely agree, yeah.
Can I do letrozole Lupron for 2 months for suppression instead of 3 with endo? My RE says 2 months is sufficient. Please let me know.
We do 3 months.
We do 3, although there's 3 studies I can't remember all three, but one did 3, one did 2.
I don't remember the 2. I read all the ones that were 3 months before.
Okay, yeah, there is one for sure that did 2 months of letrozole and Lupron, and they still showed a benefit.
Perfect.
So when people say they only want to do 2, I tell them
That's
to do 2.
fine.
Yeah.
I'm reading the question now, but it's phrased in a way that you might think it's me. 'Cause it starts off with "This is me."
Okay.
It's not
But
me.
it's not you.
It's
I
not.
get it. Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah,
that.
that's so we're clear.
helpful.
This is not me. 3ER, 25 plus eggs each time with 4 to 6 embryos per ER. Only 6 PGT normal, stemmed more than 16 days.
Yeah, that's exactly the
What
case
we're
I was talking about.
Yeah.
So, I mean, in my opinion, you're stimming way too long, and the amount of embryos you're getting from the number of eggs you're getting is substandard. So the numbers we use is that, and I'm not talking about our lab because we are admittedly better than these numbers, but just general, like let's take your average lab out there, okay? Most centers should be able to get at least a 70% success rate with ICSI. So you get 20 embryos, you're going to get 20 eggs, you're going to get 14 embryos from your 20 eggs, right? Mm-hmm. From your 14 fertilized eggs, in an average lab, you're going to get half of them to hit blastocyst. So you should have at least 7 blastocysts. So if you're starting with 25 eggs average, right? Mm-hmm. If you're starting with 25 and you're getting 70%, that's 18 off the top of my head. So you should have 18 embryos, or fertilized eggs, and then you should have a minimum of 9 or 10 blastocysts, and that's if the lab's average. If you've got a lab that's getting you 80, 90% fertilization and 70% blastulation, which is what the good labs like ours get, then you should be getting way more. So it is not normal to go from having 25 eggs to so few embryos. Have we had that? Yes, but then we sit down with the patients and we explain to them there's something wrong and we figure out what it is. And in some cases we can fix it because we improve sperm or we improve eggs or whatever. In some places or instances you can't, in which case now you're looking at donor sperm or donor egg, whatever the problem is. Yeah. I'm surprised no one commented on my butt.
They can see it. It's hard to read, that's why.
Anyways.
It could be hard to read. Which studies show more success, natural transfers or modified?
So letrozole has been shown to have the highest success rate. So it's a modified natural. Yeah. And then natural, and then hormone replacement therapy.
Right.
When do you start Tacro in a transfer cycle?
I don't know what Shreen does. I do it based on the severity of the case. So like if they're really bad, you can start it earlier, but typically I'll do it like a week before I anticipate they're going to be getting an embryo transfer, although the studies looked at just 2 days before. So we were doing 2 days before, now sometimes we started a little earlier. I think you're doing the same thing, right? Yeah.
I've been with a fertility clinic for 1 year and I've had 2 miscarriages in 6 months.
Oh, sorry. What would you do with a patient like that?
Well, she's done all the basic testing, and I've done it with all my patients. I do offer them, more advanced testing like fertility.
Cool.
Patients are happy to do that, especially when they're on their 2nd or 3rd miscarriage.
Yeah.
And everything comes back normal. They do want to try to find answers.
Yeah, I would agree completely. I mean, again, do a deep dive, figure out what's wrong. Sometimes we had a couple today. I actually had a couple today, a lovely Arabic couple who had 2 miscarriages and on their own, just natural, not with fertility. And they said, what do I do to improve this? And I said, well, there's testing. And they said, no, we don't want to do that yet. And I looked at the husband. I said, do you smoke? And he goes, yeah. I said, well, stop smoking. It's a 400% increase, right? And then, of course, I loved it because the wife chimed in and said, I've been telling him. And I said, yes, like, you can't smoke and try and get pregnant. This is a disaster. So sometimes just, even looking at their habits and changing that stuff too. Yeah, but I would do the same thing. I'd offer them a really deep evaluation and then probably advanced testing.
Hey, Dr. V, I'm 30 years old and eggs have a granulated cytoplasm. Can anything be done to improve? Have you had success with patients using their own eggs? I was told I may need to use donor eggs.
So no one knows what causes that, but I am a firm believer that some of those patients are getting bad eggs either because of their own health, which can be adjusted with naturopathy and vitamins and supplements, and if weight loss is indicated, that kind of thing. And some of that I think is stim related too, right? So if you're giving them super high doses of these crazy 16-day stims.
Yeah, absolutely.
So this patient that was talking to me earlier today told me that this particular clinic has an entire group of women on Facebook that attend this clinic. And this group of women are actually all saying that many of them have these 16, 18, 20 plus day stims. And 20, like, how can that egg possibly be? Why would you even go after that egg? Ahead of time it's not going to work. That makes no sense to me at all. So, yeah, like these long stems, high doses, failure to address general health things like smoking, drinking, alcohol, abuse, drug use, marijuana, or even something as simple as, are you on the right supplements? Do you take the right vitamins, right?
Absolutely.
All of that has a huge impact in my opinion. So can you be successful? Yes, even with granular or granulated eggs or cytoplasm. Will you be successful? I think you need to see someone who really cares about you and who really pays attention to the details and who very much focuses on making sure everything's right before you go ahead.
That's like, oh yeah, absolutely.
Hi, Dr. V and Dr. Rahal.
Oh, a first shout out for you.
I'm a little bit better. Where did I go?
Yeah, I know. Where did you go?
Where did I go here?
Yeah, there's no more Dr. T.
Shereen, this might be your last show. This might be it.
Oh no.
I did 2 egg retrievals and was only able to make day 6 blasts. Does that indicate an egg quality or sperm quality issue that we could not make day 5 blasts?
So it could be either, right? It could be egg and it could be sperm, so they both could be contributing. Again, we just go back and talk to the team. Usually the lab can give some insight in terms of how the embryo is developing over the 5 days.
Yeah, and I don't think we have enough of that story, right? So was it like a small blast on day 5 and then it hit like a 5 BB on day 6, that kind of thing? So like that would be fine, right? Versus you only started to blast on day 6, that's probably more of an issue, right? Yeah.
How does one increase the AMH level?
Let Shereen answer that one.
I get that question all the time. You're born with a set number of eggs, and unfortunately, it's really you can't really increase AMH because that reflects on the number of eggs you have. So just by the time passing by, that number is going down. We can help improve quality of the eggs that you have remaining. So we've done different supplements. CoQ10 is one of them. Again, lifestyle modifications, exercise, good habits, that all contributes to the quality of your eggs.
Yeah, I would agree 1,000,000%. You should have dropped the mic on that one. Yeah, so I agree completely with Dr. Rahal. That's absolutely accurate. You cannot increase it, and it makes me laugh because I was commenting on another fertility individual's post, which was a great post. And I mentioned that you're born with all the eggs that you will ever have. And one of the other people on the post said, that's not true. You can make more eggs. And I was like, like, unless I missed some epic part of my entire multiple decades of training, no, you can't. So I said to them, no, you actually can't. And her response was, stay out of women's business.
I love it.
I was like, I don't really think you know what I do you? Like, my business is women's business. So, yeah, she's like, you stay out of women's bodies and business. I was like, I don't think you know who I am exactly. So, yeah, no, you can't make more eggs. You're born with everything you have. And there's, talking about attrition rate. So when you're a fetus, you have millions and millions and millions of these eggs, but by the time you're born, we think you're down to about 4 to 6 million. And then by the time you are in puberty, you're down to several hundred thousand, probably around 400,000, they say. And then every month, your body recruits a lot, like 1,000 of them, and they enter the race to become the one, but then only one makes it, and the other guys all kind of, unfortunately, so they're gone. Yeah. So so you lose a lot every month after month. So you can't make new ones. We can call the ones up that are sitting there waiting to join the race, but you can't actually make new eggs. So if you have 400,000 left, you have 400,000. You're not going to get 400,001. It doesn't work that way.
Hi, doctors. Can lit and intralipids be both used for an ET in endo patients? If Lupron, Vizan, or Lissa got me really sick, what else could be used to suppress endo? Alternate protocol to suppression.
Do you want me to take that one? Or do you want to take that one? So lit is not a replacement for endo suppression at all. So I don't do that. I don't know if anybody does, but we certainly don't, or I don't. Intralipids we do use as part of our endo protocol because endo patients have a lot of inflammation. So we use it for that. But it's not going to cause suppression. It's just going to help with the inflammation. It's not going to turn off the endo. There is nothing but suppression that turns off the endo, right?
Yeah.
Hello to all three doctors tonight.
Oh, there you go.
See, this is what I'm talking about.
Now you're happy.
This is my appreciation. Even there's a smiley face emoji after that comment.
After that comment.
Yeah, because they know that I know that we all know. That's the right way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I won't share with you all what he said when I said, do you think you could do this, when he was watching the English people?
Practice makes perfect is what I said.
Yeah, that's not
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Would you treat ureaplasma during pregnancy? If yes, how many rounds?
I would. Would you treat ureaplasma?
I treat ureaplasma, yeah, absolutely.
During pregnancy? Well, you're not seeing pregnant
Oh, no, I
patients.
don't.
But would you if you saw a pregnant patient?
Yeah, I treat it.
Yeah, I would too. You have to.
Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that. So ureaplasma is a bacterium that in animal studies has been very clearly linked with an increased risk of miscarriage. They've never definitively proven it in humans, but we all know that it does.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, you kind of are obligated to treat that one. It's not supposed to be there. And how many rounds?
How many rounds?
I've never been asked that question before. I would probably get sensitivity and try and kill it off in one round. Yeah. It is a difficult bug to kill. It does not like to go easily.
If lining isn't getting thick with a natural transfer, can low dose stims be added to thicken the lining? If so, which med and what dose?
The estrays? Is that?
No, they're asking if you can use like Gonal-F to stimulate the lining to grow. We actually did a show on this, T and I. That was a while ago, wasn't it? A year and a bit ago?
Gonal-F, yeah. I actually saw this the other day. I was looking at all the different videos.
I think it was a year and a bit ago. So there's a Chinese study looking at using 75 units of Gonal-F per day. And they showed that for the patients where they couldn't get their lining, I think think it was over 6, that they actually were very successful in getting almost all of their patients to get over 6 millimeters, with just 75 units of gonal life per day. So we've done it for a few patients. Yeah. So that's what I've done. Have you?
I've used gonal life when I have issues, like just for thickening the lining, or IUIs or things like that. So
sure. What dose do you use when you're doing that?
Depends on the patient, but 75.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. So same thing for both of us. Yeah. Yeah. And that actually has been proven to be beneficial. The Chinese study, I think if I remember correctly, was a randomized controlled trial. God, that's a long time ago. But I believe that was the case.
Thoughts on Ozempic in pregnancy?
In pregnancy?
And pregnancy.
And pregnancy.
And pregnancy.
So weight loss, I think for patients who are obese, weight loss is important. And Ozempic has actually helped a lot of patients who are overweight, and we know from a lot of studies that if you lose weight, your fertility rates goes up, your pregnancy rate goes up, and Ozempic has helped that. But it's not contraindicated in pregnancy, and you should be off it. I think it's a couple of weeks.
6 weeks, and then today I heard 2 months. So
2 months before conception.
Is there any reason why you shouldn't be on it for a long time into the pregnancy?
Yeah, no one knows what the effects of being
on
no one knows. GLP-1 are in pregnancy, so it's an unknown. Yeah, loads of people are getting pregnant while they're on it because they couldn't get pregnant before. They lose all this weight, which, as Shereen says, has clearly been demonstrated to increase your success rates, and then they get pregnant, not realizing that they're pregnant, and they're still on the GLPs. So I think we will eventually get the data we need, because there have been all these like accidental pregnancies on it, but no one knows what. Is your kid going to grow up to have problems? We don't know.
How can you conceive when you have endometriosis?
How do you conceive when you have endometriosis?
How can you? Yeah.
It's a very broad question, but I think
it is a very broad question. I actually said just go for it. You know what I mean? But I'm sure they're looking for something a little bit more.
So people who have been trying, and if they have severe endometriosis, I think we know from the studies the best success is IVF.
Yeah.
Right. So taking those eggs out of that inflammatory kind of environment, as well as the sperm, and growing them in the lab, and creating those embryos. I think, again, as we know as well, using an embryo transfer protocol, like an FET protocol, that's with the lowest estrogen possible.
Yeah, like a customized protocol,
absolutely.
Which I genuinely think we're like the only people doing that.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anybody but you and me are doing that. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm not sure we're getting enough detail on your question, but so I'll break it up and say, if you haven't tried and you know you have endo, you can just try it. There's no reason not to. The things
that was my answer.
Yeah, that was your answer. That was Dr. T's answer. I'm going to echo Dr. T right now. If you want to know what specifically works, we know that IUI works, we know that IVF works, and we know that surgery works. So any of those 3 options are good. As Dr. Rahal said, absolutely, IVF has the best chance of success overall. But certainly in our practice, we focus a lot on doing the best IVF for an endo patient possible, which includes an endo protocol. And in some cases, at least for my patients, because I'm still operating, I'll offer them surgery as well. And so I think all of those things together can kind of come up with the best treatment for an IVF cycle or an endo patient. But I don't just tell everybody with endo that they have to do IVF. I know you don't either.
No, I don't. I'll always start, at least I like to start from the bottom and work my way up with patients.
Yeah.
Is IUI still an option for an individual with a 1% morphology?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah.
And I've seen people get pregnant with really poor morphology rates.
Yeah, it's still an option. Morphology is not part of what we score people on for being able to do an IUI cycle. I mean, I think their chances are probably lower, but it doesn't eliminate you from the running. Yeah.
Can PHRT help you get pregnant? Not HRT, PHRT. Estradiol continuously, progesterone 12 days.
I've never heard of PHRT.
PHRT, not HRT.
And what does it say? What's the part of it after that?
Estradiol continuously, progesterone 12 days.
I've never heard of PHRT. Any HRT related program?
Psychological hormone replacement therapy.
Psychologic?
Oh, is that like cyclical?
Do you mean physiologic hormone? Does it say
Physiologic.
Oh,
Physiologic.
So like cyclical.
Dr. T, I gotta send you back to
To reading school.
physiologic hormone.
It was a small
replacement
screen for what it's worth.
No, that's gonna reduce your chances, in my opinion.
Oh, the question is about pregnancy?
Well, I think they're saying for FET, right? Was it for FET?
Can PHRT help you get pregnant?
Oh. Can physiologic hormone replacement die?
So the only thing I can think of is patients who are POI, so primary brain insufficiency patients, right? So they still have that less than 5% success of a pregnancy naturally in younger patients. So we put them on the cyclical regimen. So if they don't have that bleed, they would do a pregnancy test.
Okay, but do you
That's
think
the only, but
giving them the hormones would improve it?
No, it wouldn't improve it.
Yeah.
You would just know that something's a little off.
Yeah.
So there's a website called My 28 Days,
Okay.
and they have a big article on it.
Which says that taking physiologic hormone replacement therapy improves your chances of success.
Something like that.
Oh, you got to bookmark that. We got to tear that apart.
I think this is the company and that's their therapy. You know, I think it's like, a little bit of this going on here.
That could be a dick award, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's borderline DIC.
Excuse me, yeah, we got to have a look at that.
I want to make an email and send it to you right now.
I've never heard of.
No.
They're the only ones that show up for it when you type it in.
Yeah, I've never heard of that being beneficial. Yeah, never.
PHRT. Okay. 60 days on Lupron letrozole. My clinic waits 4 cycles to start transfer prep. How would you prep?
60 days on Lupron letrozole, and my clinic waits what?
4 cycles to start transfer prep.
They wait 4 cycles?
Yeah.
After the 60 days of Lupron and letrozole?
I'm reading it.
And why are you suppressing?
You know what's good about having Shereen here is that, like, I have to behave better when she's here. I can't act like it.
Your normal reactions, eh?
Yeah, like I gotta.
I would feel I'm kind of behaving.
I
right
know
now.
we both are. Yeah, like I gotta have some class around Shereen. Otherwise, I'd be like, what the hell? Yeah, that makes 0 sense, right? So you're suppressing. So it's like turning the light switch off. And then you're waiting 4 months, which is taking the dimmer switch and slowly turning it all the way until it's on again. And you wanted the lights to stay off. That makes absolutely 0 sense. Yeah. See, that's what I would normally say, but I had to build up.
I think it's a good build.
Yeah, no, that's insane. Like, that's actually fundamentally illogical. It makes no sense whatsoever. That's like torturing you in order to get the benefit of the suppression, and then waiting so that you lose the benefit of the suppression. Like, how does that make any sense?
Yeah, something's not right.
That's irrational.
Nice mug, dog.
Nice mug. I know. It's from, I think it was Mary Pattinson's. I like that.
Oh, I see.
You know how you said it was hard to read?
Yeah.
Do you remember last week when they read the time to
Yeah.
stand on
That's
my
true.
watch?
That's true. They were watching.
And I just saw it and I was like, why isn't anyone commenting this side?
They got you.
Yeah.
1 day 6, 3 cc non-PGT tested embryo transfer or do another retrieval.
Great question. Dr. Rahal will be happy to answer.
There you go.
So at day 6, 3 cc untested, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you make more or would you fire ahead?
I would make more, absolutely.
Yeah, I would too.
Yeah.
That's not.
I would still use the embryo, whatever they have, but I would definitely make more. Like, I wouldn't delay. Like, I feel like, whether it's age is an issue or whatever, what's contributing to the poor outcome, but I would definitely do more.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I don't think that's a good embryonic. Statistically speaking, a day 6, 3 cc embryo probably has a 15% chance of becoming a live birth.
Yeah.
So that's a really low chance. I would be hesitant.
Yeah.
Are you supportive of immune protocols in pregnancy? A lot of questions about this today for some reason.
We're
Yeah.
talking about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dr. V, R, and T.
Oh, there you go.
I'll take that. Can you talk about sperm aneuploidy tests, when it's needed, and what you'll learn?
I have some experience with this too.
No, I don't have.
You don't? Okay.
No.
So there are 2 companies that I know of providing this. One is iGenomics, which was the original, and now Flow Labs does it as well. We use Flow Labs. So essentially, they will give you a report that shows what percentage of the sperm are aneuploid, the sperm themselves. So they'll have disomy for 12, 18, 21, 13, like a bunch of different chromosomes, where the actual sperm have abnormal copies of chromosomes in them. So in cases where you have really bad outcomes, like the ones we were talking about, where you get 22 eggs and you have 5 embryos or 2 embryos or whatever, you need to know if it's the sperm or the eggs. So there are a host of sperm tests that can be done. You can't actually really do very many tests on eggs, but there are a number of sperm tests that can be done. So we actually have a package of sperm tests now. So you can check hyaluronic acid binding, which tells you what percentage of your sperm are mature. You can do DNA fragmentation, which is critical. More and more, they're saying it should be done. And actually, our lab director just came back from ASRM, and she said they're now recommending it for everybody. We can do oxidative reductive stress measurements in the seminal fluid. We have a device that measures that. It's called Myoxis, and I'm starting to really appreciate that device too. And then you can have sperm survival, short-term and long-term overnight survival, which helps guide your chances of success with IUI and IVF. The sperm aneuploidy test is another one. It is quite expensive, but it will tell you if you have an abnormal percentage of genetically abnormal sperm. The only thing about it is it's useless if you're not willing to not use your sperm. So in other words, if you said, it's got to be my sperm or bust, or my partner's sperm or bust, we're not using donor sperm, what's the point? You're just spending money to frustrate yourself finding out you've got bad chances. So I wouldn't recommend it for that. But if you're willing to use donor sperm and this would change what you do, then it's a very valuable test. Or if you just need answers, it's a very valuable test because then you'll know, okay, I'm going to be making a lot of genetically abnormal embryos. So I got to be prepared for that.
What is a normal attrition from day 3 to day 5-6? I thought the yield was only 30 to 50%. 34 female, DOR, unexplained secondary infertility, untested day 6, 4 BA and 3 BA, another ER or transfer.
Might be okay with a 4 BA and a 3 BA. Those are good embryos. Attrition rate, I mean, it depends on the patient and their lab, but like I said, with ICSI, 70% of your eggs should fertilize, and you should get a minimum of a 50% blastocyst rate. So if you anticipate that only a few of your embryos won't even make it to day 3, most of your embryos that make it to day 3 should make it to blast.
9 o'clock.
I think we call it a night. Tarek and I need to recover from the food we had tonight. Yeah, Tarek and I always eat dinner before the show, and tonight we tried Pakistani food. And my dear friend here thought it was a good idea to order medium. So as we sat there profusely sweating, we then both tried a pepper that looked suspicious.
And it was suspicious.
It was definitely
suspicious.
Yeah, so
I was challenged for what it was.
I thought you were going to pass out. I actually videoed him, and I will post it because it was hilarious. So I couldn't even breathe. I was laughing so hard.
I also couldn't breathe.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're going to call it quits for tonight, guys. So next week we will be back. I don't know of any good articles yet, but if there's one that comes out, we will definitely share with you guys. If you have any topics you want us to review, let us know. Tarek is working on a new video with me for endometriosis, so we'll have that out soon because people wanted to know about that. And we have a bunch of other ones coming out, including when's the Dick Award video coming out?
I think tomorrow.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good.
And then there's back to back. It's going to be pretty busy.
Huge Dick.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
She deserves it.
She does deserve it. Yeah, it was a stupid thing to say.
Yeah.
So, anyways, you guys all have a wonderful evening. Thank you for joining us on Fertility Fact or Fiction. If you want to get in touch with us, you can contact the office. It's on our website. And you can definitely get a hold of Dr. Rahal or myself. We'll be more than happy to help you out. She has a growing wait list, but it is, thank God, shorter than mine. So if you do want to see someone in a sensible period of time, please take advantage of the amazing Dr. Rahal and see her. Have a wonderful night, guys, and we'll see you next week.